The stairs down to the sanctuary groaned their familiar protest under my boots. Wednesday night, October 15th, and the basement already hummed with bodies seeking refuge from the straight world's grinding machinery. My sciatic nerve fired electric warnings up my spine with each descent, titanium plates shifting in ways the surgeons promised they wouldn't, but fuck it. Pain's just the body's way of reminding you you're still breathing. Miguel looked up from behind the bar, his dark eyes catching the warm light from the new fixtures that made the crimson walls glow like the inside of a heart instead of a wound. "Mom, you look like hammered shit." "Rough day?" "DevOps doesn't sleep, Miguel, and I'm still fucking healing. Neither do the fucking servers that decide to cascade fail at 4 p.m. He was already reaching for the top shelf, pulling down a bottle of Woodford Reserve Double Oaked. The bourbon caught the light like amber honey, viscous and promising. He poured 3 fingers into a rocks glass, the liquid sliding against crystal with a whisper that said, "You've earned this." The smell hit first. Caramel and burnt sugar and something darker underneath, like the memory of smoke. I took the glass, pressed it to my lips, let the first sip coat my tongue. Oak and vanilla and the sharp bite of alcohol that made my eyes water. Perfect. Always am. Miguel grinned, that boyish charm that belied the steel underneath. "Della's making her brisket hash tonight. You eating?" From the kitchen came the sizzle pop of meat hitting hot cast iron, onions caramelizing in beef fat, the smell so rich it made my stomach clench with want. Hart's Barracuda punched through the speakers, Ann Wilson's voice all teeth and fury. "Yeah, load it up." Ezra waved from their beanbag fortress near the stage, blue hair freshly touched up to match the electric shade of their eyeshadow. Phoenix and River occupied the corner booth, heads bent together like conspirators, River still in their hospital scrubs, pale green printed with tiny stethoscopes, the fabric wrinkled from a 12-hour shift. Phoenix's ruby promise ring caught the light as they gestured, animated in that way only 22-year-olds in love can manage. Kira materialized beside me at the bar, her presence settling something in my chest that had been wound too tight. She didn't touch me, never did in public, kept her affection in her voice, in the way she looked at me like I was the only solid thing in a liquid world. "So Bellamy is gonna be it." Her voice cut through the music, pragmatic as a blueprint. 2-bedroom just opened up. 3rd floor, industrial windows. I turned to face her, bourbon warming my belly. "We can afford it? If we stop pretending we need 2 separate places." She raised an eyebrow, challenging. "Charlie, Alex, and Gizmo could have their own share of rooms when they visit. You could have a writing nook that doesn't double as a laundry station." The logistics cascaded through my engineer brain. Square footage, proximity to the sanctuary, what it meant to consolidate our lives into one address instead of this scattered archipelago of belonging. "When can we see it?" "Tomorrow, 10 a.m. Kira's mouth curved, satisfaction in the simple act of forward motion. "Thought you'd say yes." Della emerged from the kitchen carrying a plate that steamed like a prayer, brisket hash crowned with 2 fried eggs, the yolks obscene and perfect, runny promises waiting to break. She set it in front of me with the ceremony it deserved, then immediately rounded on Miguel. "You charging her for that bourbon?" Miguel's face did something complicated, love and exasperation fighting for dominance. "Babe, we talked about this. Don't you babe me, pendejo." Della's hands found her hips, the stance of a woman who'd fought every inch of her ground. She nearly died 3 weeks ago. Her brother crushed her fucking windpipe. "You think I'm letting you charge family for liquor? We have bills, Della. Electricity. The new equipment is paid for by the dozen assholes upstairs at Murphy's who pay full price for watered-down shit." Della's voice dropped to that femme-butch register that brooked zero argument. "This is our family. They drink free when they need to." Miguel's shoulders dropped, surrender dressed up as compromise. "Half price. Final offer. 3/4 off, you beautiful stubborn man." Della leaned across the bar and kissed him, quick and fierce. "And I'm making your breakfast burrito extra spicy tomorrow. Threats and promises, mi amor. But Miguel was grinning, the argument already forgotten in the algebra of their marriage. I stabbed my fork into the hash, yolk rupturing gold across the meat and potatoes, and fucking hell, the first bite was transcendent. Salt and char and the silky richness of egg binding it all together. Della cooked like she loved, with her whole chest, no apologies, everything on the table. The front door opened and Marcus entered with Sarah, his wife moving with the careful curiosity of someone entering foreign territory. She was pretty in that straight woman way, highlighted hair, sensible cardigan, wedding ring that caught light like a small star. But her eyes were wide, taking in the rainbow flags and the gender-fuck beauty of the patrons, the casual queerness that saturated every molecule of air. Marcus looked lighter here, his bi-invisibility temporarily suspended in a space that acknowledged all his identities without forcing him to choose. He guided Sarah to a table near the stage, and I watched her watch him, the way he relaxed into his body, shoulders dropping, that corporate mask he wore at home cracking just enough to let the real him breathe. Rush's Tom Sawyer kicked in, Geddy Lee's bass line walking through the conversation like it owned the place. Holy shit, Sarah's voice carried, incredulous and delighted. Did Sean from upstairs just hit on you? Marcus's grin was pure mischief. Yep, he was... Sarah gestured vaguely, searching for words. Very obvious about it. Sean's always obvious. Marcus leaned back in his chair, basking in the attention like a cat in sunlight. It's part of his charm. You're enjoying this way too much. But Sarah was smiling, something loosening in her face that suggested maybe she was starting to understand why her husband needed this place, these people, this particular brand of visible desire that the straight world erased. Can you blame me? Marcus caught my eye across the room, raised his beer in salute. How often do I get to be seen as the queer man I actually am? Sarah reached across the table, took his hand. Not possessive, witnessing. Fair enough. But if he asks you to dance, I'm cutting in. Phoenix and River's conversation had intensified, their voices low but urgent with the weight of futures being negotiated in real time. River's hands moved as they talked, and I caught the flash of something on their phone screen. Jewelry, rings, the algorithmic promise of forever rendered in platinum and carbon. What would it even look like? Phoenix's voice carried just enough for me to catch the edges. Marriage, I mean, for us. River's smile was soft, secretive. Whatever we want it to. That's the point, isn't it? No template, no expectation that doesn't come from us. My mom keeps asking. Phoenix's voice went smaller, vulnerable in a way that made my chest ache. Not pushing, just asking. Like she's trying to understand what my life looks like now. What our life looks like. What do you tell her? River traced patterns on the table with one finger, casual in a way that didn't match the tension in their shoulders. That I don't fucking know yet. Phoenix laughed, sharp and honest. That I'm 22 and I've been out of her house for less than a year, and I'm still learning what it means to build something with someone when nobody taught us how. River's hand covered Phoenix's, stilling their nervous energy. We're learning together. That's what matters. You've been looking at rings. Phoenix said it like an accusation wrapped in hope. Don't think I haven't noticed. Maybe. River's grin was wicked. Maybe I want to give you something more permanent than a promise. Something that says I'm not going anywhere in a language even straight people understand. Diamonds are a capitalist conspiracy. But Phoenix was crying, tears tracking down their face in the good way, the overwhelmed way. Lab-grown. River amended. Ethical, sustainable, and fuck you expensive because you're worth it. I looked away, giving them privacy, and found Renee at the bar beside me, her massive frame hunched over a beer that looked like a toy in her hands. She radiated pissed off in waves, the kind of anger that came from loving someone who kept you hidden. She won't come. Renee didn't look at me, just stared at her beer like it held answers. Another excuse, another corporate dinner, another fucking closet. How long you gonna let her do this to you? I kept my voice neutral, knowing Renee would bolt if I pushed too hard. as long as it takes for her to remember she's got a spine. Renee's jaw worked, muscle jumping under skin. She's senior VP at that pharmaceutical hellscape. Terrified someone will find out she goes home to a woman who can bench press her weight in patriarchy smashing. You deserve better than scraps, Renee. Don't I fucking know it? She drained half her beer in one pull. But I love her. And she loves me. She's just... Renee's hands opened, helpless, scared. 30 years in corporate America, watching what happens to women who don't play the game exactly right. She's got 3 years to retirement, 3 years and she's free. A year is a long time to live in the shadows. Yeah, Renee's voice cracked. It really fucking is. Lisa burst through the door like weather, all nervous energy and flushed cheeks, her pragmatic farm girl sensibility momentarily overwhelmed by whatever the fuck had just happened. She headed straight for the bar, bypassing her usual seat near the pool table. Miguel, I need something strong. Lisa's hands shook slightly as she gripped the bar edge. What's good for when you've just survived an escape room with a woman you're 90% sure you're in love with, but who keeps being mysteriously vague about her job and her life and everything that isn't the immediate present? Miguel's eyebrows rose. That's... specific. How about a whiskey sour? Perfect. Make it a double. I rotated on my stool, studying Lisa's face. That particular combination of exhilaration and terror that came from stepping off the cliff of heterosexuality in your 60s and realizing you'd never actually known what flying felt like. Escape room went well? We solved it with 4 minutes to spare, and then she kissed me in the parking lot like the world was ending, and she wanted to die with my taste on her lips. Lisa accepted the drink from Miguel, knocked back half of it. Then she got a phone call, her face went weird, and she said she had to go. Lisa snapped her fingers. Gone. Like Cinderella if Cinderella was a 50-something woman with a mysterious career and boundary issues. You ask her about the job? She changes the subject. Every time. Lisa's frustration was palpable. Says it's complicated and not interesting, and deflects to asking about the farm or my kids or literally anything else. Kira leaned in, her voice carrying that particular brand of pragmatic wisdom. Could be she's protecting you from something. Could be she's protecting herself. Either way, you can't build on mystery. Eventually you need foundation. I know. Lisa finished her drink, set the glass down with deliberate care. But goddamn, when she looks at me, I feel like I spent 60 years living in black and white and someone just handed me the whole fucking color spectrum. Della appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on her apron. That's how it should feel. Like everything before was practice and this is the real thing. Even when it's terrifying? Especially then. Della's smile was knowing, kind. Terror means you're actually invested. Means it matters enough to hurt if it goes wrong. The music shifted. Pink Floyd's Comfortably Numb, David Gilmour's guitar solo spiraling through the room like a prayer for all the anesthetized years, the time we spent performing someone else's life. I thought about Gizmo, how we used to sing this in the car when she was small, before I came out, before I destroyed her ability to trust me. The guitar solo had made her giggle, the way it climbed and climbed until it seemed impossible it could go higher. My eyes burned. I blinked hard, took another pull of bourbon, let it scald the feeling down to manageable levels. Marcus and Sarah were slow dancing now, awkward and sweet, her learning the steps of his queerness in real time, him teaching her through movement what words couldn't quite capture. Phoenix and River had stopped talking, just holding hands across the table, the conversation about rings and futures tabled for the comfort of present tense touch. Miguel and Della were arguing again, something about inventory and whether they needed more olives, their voices carrying that particular music of long-married people who fought because they cared, not because they wanted to wound. The argument would end the way they all did, with compromise and kissing and the shared language of a love that had weathered every storm by refusing to let go. Renee still hunched over her beer, massive and alone, waiting for a woman who might never be brave enough to walk through that door. The tragedy of it sat in my chest like a stone. Bubba and Remy arrived together, their deep South accents twining through the room like Spanish moss. Bubba headed straight for me, his dark face creased with concern. "You look like 10 miles of bad Georgia road, sister. That brother of yours still giving you nightmares? Every goddamn night." I didn't elaborate, didn't need to. Bubba had survived being a gay black man in the South during the worst of it. He understood nightmares that wore family faces. "Healing ain't linear." His voice was molasses and wisdom. "Some days you backslide just to remember how far you've come." Remy appeared with a plate of something that smelled like heaven. Della must have been making extra. "Mange, cher. You too skinny for all that pain you carrying." I took the food, let them mother me in the way this place allowed. Fierce and unsentimental, love expressed through bourbon and brisket, and the simple act of showing up. Sage sat in the corner creating elaborate art on napkins, their silence as present as anyone's voice. Grubby lingered near the stage, watching everything with those careful eyes that had seen too much too young. The sanctuary hummed around us, conversations overlapping, the crack of pool balls, Della's kitchen symphony, Miguel's bottles clinking as he restocked the bar. This basement that had been a cave, a wound, a place where damaged people hid from daylight. Now it glowed crimson and gold, every scar sealed, every broken thing mended not into perfection, but into strength. Relationships. Those strange architectures we build hoping they'll hold weight. Some stable as bedrock, Miguel and Della's old married bickering, the foundation solid even when they fought. Some new and trembling, Phoenix and River sketching futures with lab-grown promises, Lisa stumbling toward color after 60 years of monochrome. Some caught between, Marcus and Sarah learning to see each other truly, Renee waiting in the wings of someone else's fear, me and Kira consolidating our scattered life into something cohesive enough to call home. Kira's hand found mine under the bar, brief and electric. "Tomorrow, 10 a.m., new beginning." Yeah. I squeezed back, let go. New beginning. The bourbon bottle caught light, amber promise in glass. Miguel poured me another finger without asking, the good kind of presumption that came from family. Around us the sanctuary breathed. All these hearts learning to beat in proximity, all these lives negotiating the space between isolation and intimacy, all of us mapping the territory of commitment in languages we were still inventing. The music swelled. Someone laughed. Della cursed beautifully about a dropped spatula. Phoenix kissed River's knuckles. Lisa stared at her empty glass like it held prophecy. Renee's phone stayed silent, and I sat at the bar in the basement that used to be a cave, drinking top-shelf bourbon in a space that finally felt like breathing, surrounded by all these complicated, damaged, beautiful fucking people trying to build something that would hold. The cartography of commitment. Every relationship its own map, every heart its own terrain. Some roads straight and obvious, some winding through wilderness, some ending in cliffs we didn't see coming. But down here, in the crimson-walled sanctuary where plastic cups held sacrament, and truth poured raw, down here we had permission to chart our own courses, to draw our own borders, to name our own destinations. Even when we had no fucking idea where we were going, especially then. We are not necessarily doubting that God will do the best for us. We are wondering how painful the best will turn out to be. C.S. Lewis. The sanctuary holds space for the terror inherent in commitment, the recognition that loving fully means granting someone the power to hurt you completely. Lewis understood that faith and fear aren't opposites, but companions on the same journey. Every relationship in that basement carries this contradiction. Miguel and Della's playful battles masking the deeper fear of loss. Phoenix and River's ring-shopping joy shadowed by the knowledge that visibility makes you vulnerable. Lisa's color-drunk euphoria tempered by mystery's boundaries. Renee's patient waiting warfare against the wound of being hidden. Even Kira and Wendy's practical talk of lofts contains within it the acknowledgement that consolidating lives means risking everything on the belief that this This will hold. The best we hope for in love always carries the potential for the worst pain we'll ever know. But in the sanctuary's crimson walls, surrounded by others who've chosen the same terrifying gamble, that pain becomes bearable. Not because it hurts less, but because we don't hurt alone.